Alright, so I want to go through the overview of the fulfillment board with you. Now, I'm going to start from top to bottom. That's where I've logged in the bucket list over here. So I save the bucket list tab and I keep it hidden for a good reason, because all of these things aren't really things that I can focus on every day to drive me, and they're things to just kind of see in the distance. This is why I keep it hidden with this toggle. And future intentions. Future intentions is milestones that are coming up, basically. So for me, for strength, that's finishing my Invisalign, healing my carpal tunnel, and recovering from a shoulder injury. Both things I got injuries from the gym. So generally there may not be too many here. So again, usually I will hide that. So on to the main part, which is the actual fulfillment board over here. So I explained before that we have the alignment, improvements, and milestones. So let's start with the alignment. So the alignment is actually these statements over here. So my alignment for strength is to display my discipline through my physique and improve day to day. When I click open this, you'll have the structure of the aim within each of these tabs. This whole layout is identical throughout all of these. So let's go through the alignment, improvements, and milestones individually for strength. And when I go to the other sections of the fulfillment board, I'll just quickly gloss over them. The strength section is about your physical health and your strength and your physique and things like that. So to build this out, what I would do is start with a statement. For strength, for me, it's displaying my discipline through my physique and improving day to day. And over here in this, you can kind of expand that statement and maybe go into more depth, because the title over here is something that you want to keep quite concise. So if you need to expand it, which I have done in other tabs, you can do that here. And right underneath is intentions. So the intentions, when you're building this out yourself, it's where you kind of write out what you want to track. For me, I had three things mainly. Is completing consistency, so that's completing my full workout and 20 minutes of cardio, breaking my limits, which is hitting new PRs, and marking my health indicators. So I've got the long form over here and the very short form over here. So once we've built out our alignment, that pulls into the improvements. So again, you can see these correlate with each other. You've got the circle here. So I use that for discipline because I think of a continuous circle rotating. I use a block over here to mark the personal records, and with this I think of stacking blocks of evidence, like I said, to prove that we are who we say we are. And I use the heart for health markers. So the good thing about the color coding of the special system and these emojis is that they are available for all of the colors within the special system. So I use these markers throughout each of the tabs, as you'll see shortly, that I will quickly gloss over. So by using this emoji system, I can see in my log that I fill out each week what kind of improvements I'm making. I can see for last month, this was a PR that I hit, this was a health indicator, and this was to do with consistency. Now, the reason why some of these are highlighted is because these are actually milestones that I've linked to here. And I keep them in my log so I can see the small stuff and the big stuff at the same time. So the small stuff I don't highlight, and the big stuff I do highlight, and I actually create them as a link. I'll go throughout how I actually fill this out in real time with the next part of this video, which is me doing a live weekly reflection. So I'll click on one of these milestones here so you can have a look at these attributes. So when you enter in one of these milestones, so you can see, I used to have eczema. It's like a skin condition where you get very itchy and you break your skin. And through my diet and sleep and gut microbiome things, I've pretty much sorted it out. It used to really affect me quite badly. This seriously was a massive milestone for me when I finally dealt with it. This is the main special, so that's these sections over here. And over here is the fulfillment type. So you can see on these tiles here of the milestones, the different categories. And this actually correlates, if we go back here, this correlates with this system that I've set up here. So once you set out your intentions over here, you go on to copy and paste that into the improvements. So you know exactly what are the improvements that I'm going to document and what kind of category they fall into, because there may be quite a few things that will fit into a single alignment. And once you set up the system, it's really easy to go and put in new ones. So if I click back into here, I can see the fulfillment type. I actually created fulfillment types based on that system. And you can see I've done similar things for all of the other ones here. And they follow the circle, square, and the heart. But I don't have to fill out a circle, square, and a heart for each of them. I just do what I need to fill out for that particular section. And the cool thing about doing that is that when you come to the milestones here, you can actually split them into groups. So you have the year on this axis, and then on this axis, you can have the different categories of fulfillment. So over here at the top is health, then PRs, and then discipline. Now that we've deep dived into one, I will just quickly skim over so you can kind of have an idea of how I've set up my fulfillment in each of these different areas. So persistence I class as the basic life routines that we need to do and fulfill in order to make sure everything else runs smoothly. So you can see here my intentions are to stay consistent with the positive habits that I find and to discover and experiment new ways to organize and streamline as I grow. The recent ones have been things like meal prep and especially starting daily cold showers. That has been pretty amazing. So improvements are things like house maintenance for me, these milestones, and also when I make adjustments to my meal prep schedule. So I started cooking for 3 days and in 4 days, which kind of completes every week. Cool, moving on quickly. The experience section is about the experiences we have. So your relationship with yourself, doing things like meditation and journaling. The external ones are things like watching movies, watching anime, playing games, or going to places, going for a hike, etc. And relationships are self-explanatory. My main goal is to create experiences that I'm proud of. So I had the boys from my self-development group. This is Derek and this is Joseph. And we had a crazy workout together and we did a whole bunch of reflection exercises on that day. What I really want to do is to look back on the experiences I choose with pride and gratitude that I spent my limited time on this earth intentionally. So again, when I was building this out, my deepest promise and priorities are for Mikey, my inner child. I have a few videos on how I view mental health as a parent-child relationship. So if you're interested in that, I'll link it in the description below. So for the square, I will seek inspiration from the activities I choose to experience. So that's things like the movies I watch, the anime I watch, the games I play. I want to seek inspiration from each piece of content that I watch because some of the most hype music that I have in the gym is all from anime openings. And it really pumps me, and I hit mad PRs with them. And for my relationships, my intention is to cherish and grow the relationships with people who make me a better person and do my best to uplift them. So again, summarized here, and I have them in my log along with the milestones here. Moving on to creativity. Creativity is exactly what it sounds like. It's about your creative endeavors apart from your work. And as you can see here, my fulfillment is building the systems and inspiration to help people help themselves. And that's exactly what the ethos of life game design is all about. You can see here on my alignment is that my ikigai is to use my creativity to help people and together create a better world. I'll create systems that will benefit current and future generations. So for circle, I'll mark the times where I create systems and inspiration, like this fulfillment board is a time that I did that. I will track my impact, so that's kind of like the subscriber count and kind of like those statistics, like those things. Not as important to me, but I do want to mark them because it shows whether my content is actually providing value. And one important thing to me is collecting meaningful messages. Apart from views, something that's a lot more fulfilling is receiving messages from people that I know have helped. And I've received this in many different ways with another channel that I have, where I got some really beautiful messages from people, and I've collected those. And this is my space to reflect upon them, because this is a main focus for me, creativity. And if you're wondering what this number is, that's how old I am. So for each year, I can quickly see how old I was or am in that year. I do it for the age that I turn, so I'm actually 25 now. It says 26 because I turned 26 in July of this year. So again, with the same system, I can see at a glance, I've mainly created systems and inspiration, and because I just started out this channel, I don't have any markers of impact yet. So in my log, it's mainly just these over here, and I've been pretty busy over the last few months with getting this channel off the ground. Let's go into contribution. So contribution is the subcategory of creativity, and I class it as a contribution because we're always going to have to make some contribution for society in order to pay our way through it. So the hardest thing is that when you have a job, it feels like it's meaningless, but I think the power within it is creating meaning for yourself. I will improve the systems of any workplace I enter and learn everything I can. This really held true when I was a chef. When I knew I wasn't going to continue in my career as a chef, I made sure that I took as much as I can from the experience, even though I knew I was kind of done with it. I learned so many life lessons from the people there, from the immense pressure that I had to face, and everything in between, because I took it so seriously, even though I knew it wouldn't be the thing that I would be doing for the rest of my life. So I don't have much in terms of contribution because I'm working less now, so I can work on this channel. So I think for this one, it would be great for you to put in some things that actually fulfill you about your work, which are things like maybe learning new skills. It could be a heart, which would be something like creating new relationships at work and things along that line. Moving on to intelligence. I like this one. So intelligence is exactly what it sounds like. So the intelligence page is about organizing the information that you get from the world. You'll really be able to understand it from my alignment. The measure of my influence upon the world is bound by the extent of my comprehension. I will use my intelligence to expand my imagination. I am a lifelong student, and close to my heart is the idea that learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere. Actually, I need to show you something. So for Christmas last year, my sister got me a e-reader, and I wanted to get a cover for it. And I saw there was a website where you could put your own quote on it. So I was looking at quotes about learning, and that was one that really stuck with me. So I actually got it printed on here. I want you to see that. So my intentions for intelligence are to learn and create new ideas relevant to my current projects by reading. I will earn my living through my creative outlets, and I will record what inspires me. So learning and creation is about reading books and doing courses. Like over here, you can see that I read the book Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, amazing book, and I'm about to set up the challenges for that, and the PTYA course that I just did. Earning, I want to eventually earn money through this creative outlet, and I kind of wanted to separate it from my actual creativity, so I left it in intelligence, because in the intelligence page I manage my finances as well. And then I will record what inspires me. So there's usually certain quotes that I hear, and either from videos that are really inspiring. This is from a video from Yes Theory, where one of the guys who has a fear of heights was surprised and actually forced into doing a skydiving jump. And the journey that he goes on through that video is absolutely inspiring. Oh, and I believe that after he landed, that is the quote that he said. The next one is achievements. So this whole page here is actually the achievements page, but within the achievements section of fulfillment, it's about earning my wants with discipline and dedication. So what I mean by this is that it's my intention to practice a more modern type of minimalism, where I have nice things, but I have to earn them. So exactly like the editing computer that I have now and that I invested in, it was only earned from obviously me saving up that amount of money to buy it, because I stayed consistent with my editing for a different channel. And I also got to a level of editing where I hit a limit with my old computer that didn't allow me the creative freedom that I can have now. The reason why I do this now is that when I was a kid, my parents actually spoiled me quite a lot. They would buy me all these gifts that I would cry for and everything like that, but when I got them I never really appreciated them. And that's why now if I buy something without actually working towards it, I never appreciate it, and that's why I work towards it. So with the keyboard that I have and that I bought, I'll show you over here. This is a Logitech G something something, I don't even know. It's a wireless keyboard, and it has low profile keys, and it has the most awesome clicky sound. Listen to this. But yeah, before I bought this keyboard, I knew I wanted it really bad, but I knew I was also bad at typing. So what I did is that I challenged myself to get to 80 words per minute before I was able to buy this. And when I hit that, I bought it, and I could use it so well so that I could hear the clickiness of it at the same time, which is really fulfilling in itself. And because I bought it with that milestone attached to it, it reminds me of the effort that I put into earn it in the first place. And the same with my mouse that I have. So let's take a look at the alignment. Working towards earning the things I want will give me time to reflect on the impact and make each item or mark special and carry meaning and memory of my dedication and discipline. So within the intentions, I will earn the items I want by completing challenges. So any more upgrades I make for my camera, let's say, for this channel, I will have to hit a certain milestone. I don't know what that milestone is, but I will eventually set it. But in the meantime, I don't really need it. It's not setting a limit for me. And this one over here is actually quite interesting. I will mark my key accomplishments. So I actually really wanted tattoos for a long time, but I felt like people just get the most random tattoos that don't mean anything, and that's fine for them, but for me it would feel, I don't know, maybe like a waste. So what I want to do is the same thing as, I think there's a game called Far Cry where when you level up you actually get tattoos based on the skills you have, and I kind of want to have the same idea. So when I achieve some really key accomplishment in my life, something like completing my chef's apprenticeship that I've already done, I want to mark that achievement with a tattoo to really solidify the meaning behind the marking that I'm putting on myself, and to make sure that I don't just like absolutely cover my whole body in tattoos, because if I let myself, I probably would. And the heart is about capturing small key wins from my week, because you'll see this later as one of the sections in the weekly reflection. So you can see quickly here, my milestones are the editing computer I have, the laptop I got, and the lighting setup I got for doing these videos. And the last one, this is really interesting. This is lifetime. And this is actually kind of hard for me to talk about because it gets quite personal in the lifetime section. My alignment for lifetime is to change my perspective each year by challenging myself. The adversities that I have both created and experienced serve as the building blocks of my character. My perspective on life has and will change each year as I learn and grow from the challenges I am faced with. My intentions are to document my ever-changing life perspectives and retain an open mind, and to own my adversities as building blocks for my character and write about my learning. This is something I hadn't done up until I created this fulfillment board, and usually when I thought about the adversities and challenge that I faced in my life, I didn't even talk to my friends because I was so embarrassed about them. It's the only way that I know that I can grow better as a person, if I'm able to face those things head on. In a small tangent, I think of the way that we view physical health can be quite related to the way that we view mental health. You can have abs and look really good physically, but you can actually be quite unhealthy. In the same way, your measure of your mental health is not dictated by how happy you are. Your measure of your mental health can be dictated on how you're able to reflect on your past and your memories and the things that have hurt you. So that's something that I put out in this intention. And the good thing for most of you guys is that if you decide to do something like this in your personal fulfillment board, you won't have to show it to anyone. So over here you can see a few of the ones I had. Probably the most embarrassing one for me was diving too deep into Red Pill and being quite pessimistic as a result of it. And that was only last month. This is something that I'm still dealing with. So that's a wrap for the gloss over of the fulfillment board. In the link in the description, you'll find a template that you can use to create your own fulfillment board using the AIM method I explained. Because this is a new concept and it may be hard to figure out the nuances within it, I'd love to be there with you to build it. Underneath is also a link to my calendar where you can book in a session with me completely for free, and I'll guide you through creating your fulfillment board. This exercise is not a set and forget, but it's so much more. We build and reflect on this week to week or month to month. The way this works is that every week we want to fill in an improvement to grow the stack and show that we are becoming the person who we say we want to become. I'll show you a live example of how I filled this out in the first part of my weekly reflections, going through some alignments, improvements, and milestones.